Okay, now what we're going to make now, we're going to make some chocolate decorations. And these are some that we made earlier, just to see what we're doing. These can be used in all sorts of things. Decorating ice creams, panna cottas, gatos. And these are just some of the different shapes that I've made. Very simple to do. I'm going to show you now how we've made those. Okay? So, what we need for this, we've got some white baker's chocolate. And we've got some milk baker's chocolate. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to melt those into a bain-marie or a water bath. So I'm going to prepare the tray where I'm going to pipe the white chocolate on first of all. I've got some clear acetate here. You don't have to use acetate. You could use silicone paper, the same as what we use for the piping bag, or you could just use a clear plastic bag and cut it to size. Alright. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our white chocolate. Can I borrow that top, maybe? I'm just going to wipe the base of it because you don't want it to drip onto your tray. So this is your white chocolate. That's all nicely melted. And I'm going to tip this into my piping bag. And it's simply a wacky effect on your tray. Now you can do anything with here. Write your name, happy birthday, anything. Well, I'm just going to do this. What do you call it, Tim?
Bit of a Jackson Pollock, I would say.
Bit of a Jackson.
That's not supposed to be rude, is it?
No, it's not. She's a very fine artist. There we go. And the next stage is we're going to leave that to set. Right. So we've set our white baker's chocolate. And in a second I'll explain why I've used baker's chocolate and not couverture. Okay. We've got our milk chocolate, or baker's chocolate. Now you don't want this too hot. If it's too hot, what's going to happen is it's going to it's going to melt that. So I'm going to stick my pinky in there, and that's about right. If you can't stick your finger in that, it's too hot basically. So it should be around about body temperature, really, or just above body temperature. And simply what we're going to do is we're going to pour this on the tray. Okay? I've got a trowel palette knife, and I'm going to spread the chocolate over the top of the white chocolate. And you can see the white chocolate slightly coming through. That's fine, because you want this to be quite thin. So you don't want it big thick chunks, you want it quite nice and thin. So I'm just working the chocolate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to leave this to set. But you don't want it to set really hard because you've got to cut it. You don't want it to be brittle. So you want it to be sort of plasticine-y.
So how long might you leave it?
Well, that depends on the room temperature. So you can't give an exact time how long it's going to take. So Debbie's just going to take that somewhere a little bit cooler and let it set off. The reason why I've used baker's chocolate is that I don't have to temper this. Now, when you buy chocolates from a retail shop and they're nice and shiny, the chocolate's been tempered. And really what that means is that they've taken the chocolate to a certain temperature, cooled it down and heated it back up again, and keep stirring it at the same time. That gives it its nice shine. Now, if we use baker's chocolate, we haven't got to do that. So that is the reason why I've used baker's chocolate.
Time saving.
Time saving, and you get a great effect without having to go to all that hassle. So the next stage is to cut your different shapes out. Now you can do anything here. So I'm going to quickly just cut some different shapes out of it. And we can do all sorts of things. Okay? And because this is set, so I've got triangles, I've got squares, I've got some curves. You could even use a pastry cutter and cut out circles.
Anything you want to do.
Anything that you want to do. So that's it. So what we do now, you can put this back in to let it set a bit more so it gets really brittle, then it's easy to remove from the acetate. Now I can simply just lift that off, and you can see what we've got there. We've got this effect. And again, I've got different shapes. You can even just leave it as a sheet, one sheet, and then break off the pieces you need, rather than cutting it.
Yeah.
And then you get all sorts of wacky effects. you know, that type of thing.